The date where you meet your girlfriend's parents for the first time is pretty much a cliche. I mean, Ben Stiller has made a career out of this. Watching you, Fokker. Circle of trust. But cliches have to be based on truth, right? So a few years ago, my girlfriend took me back to her family home to meet the parents. It happened to be Thanksgiving. So we loaded up my dog and her cat in the car, drove 200 miles west out to beautiful Washington County. And we got there and no one was home. They're all out shopping. Family shops a lot. But we had our own shopping to do, so we dropped off the dog and cat, went out and ran our errands. Come back an hour later, you understand that their house is built into the side of a fairly steep hill. So when you enter the house, you're entering through the basement. So we come in through the basement, and here's my girlfriend's dad, Bill, and her grandmother, Nanny. We do the full introduction. Hi, nice to meet you. How are you? I've heard so much about you. You know, we're talking for a few minutes. And I said, wait, where's Baker? Where's my dog? There's a group of people. He's a Labrador. He's usually right where the people are. And Bill says, oh, my wife took him outside for a walk. He should be in the backyard. So I go up the stairs, out through the kitchen door into the backyard. And there, because she likes to walk in her bare feet, is Diane sitting on the dew-covered grass, holding my dog's leash in one hand and the shattered remains of her ankle in the other. Now I'm talking full compound fracture. The foot is on at about a 105-degree angle from the leg. There is bone sticking out. There is a fair amount of blood. And I did the thing that I think most of you would have done in that situation. I took the leash out of her hand and took the dog inside. Because I have priorities. And then I went into full disaster management mode. And I'm yelling down the stairs, at my girlfriend, you need to call 911 and get an ambulance. And I'm yelling at Bill, I need 2 blankets and a pillow, gotta keep her warm, don't want her to go into shock. And I'm yelling at, how old is Nanny, 90-something? I'm yelling at Nanny, you need to be out in the street waiting for the ambulance to direct them into the backyard. And I'm handling this emergency. And first, Bill goes outside with the pillow and blankets, and he's, Mr. Mighty Deer Hunter. And this sight of blood basically makes him a little woozy. So he looks down at his wife with the bones sticking out and the blood, and he's getting, and I'm like, dude, you have to cowboy up right now. This is your wife. And then my girlfriend comes out, and I tried to intercept her before she got within viewing distance. I was too late. She sees the bone sticking out, and she goes into full-on blubbering mess. Not much you can do at that point. Well, a few minutes later, the ambulance arrives. The paramedics come around the back of the house, and the paramedic takes one look at the ankle and just goes, oh, that is really bad. I guess they don't teach bedside manner to paramedics. And a few minutes later, the second ambulance arrived, because this house is on the border of 2 townships. So when there's a 911 call, they both respond. So now you got 4 paramedics, 2 ambulances, they're throwing bandages and gauze all over the place, wrapping things up. But they get her taken care of, onto the gurney, into the ambulance, and they drive away. And what we didn't know at the time was that they were only driving down to the Little League field because they thought this was bad enough that they had called for the medevac chopper. Because Allegheny General up in Pittsburgh was too far to drive. So they're going to fly her up there. Meanwhile, we're all back in the house, getting ready to go off to the hospital, and we realize it's not only well past dinner time at this point, nobody's eaten anything, We're about to go to the hospital on a Sunday night where there's not going to be any food. All right, we got a pot of stew on the stove, cold. Everybody have some. Quick. And I look at Bill and said, you need to change your clothes. You can't go to the hospital covered in blood like you are. And then who's going to drive? Well, Bill's still kind of dizzy. My girlfriend's still kind of sobbing. There's Nanny. All right, so I drive to the hospital, and I don't know where I'm going out there. I don't know where I'm going, but there's no point being late. So we got to the hospital. Now, since the bell's already dinged, there's 4 happy endings to this bad date. Number 1, the surgery went really well and the ankle was fully repaired. Number 2, Diane says that my dog did not pull her down. So my dog has maintained his reputation for never being in trouble, but always being trouble adjacent. Number 3, there was a little mistake, foul up with the health insurance. But eventually the insurance company did cover the $14,000 helicopter bill. And the final part is that the family apparently decided I was a good guy to have around in a crisis. And a couple years later, Diane limped her way down the aisle, and my girlfriend is now my wife.